Hello, hello. Welcome to the Motherhood Channel. I'm Quinn Brown Huffman, and with me is
Tanya Meeks. Grateful to be here. I'm going to change it to gallery view for the folks on YouTube. Just saying.
oh, it's another week, it's another day in the hood of the mothers. And the topic of the day that we've kind of settled on is how we really operate as project managers, being mothers, managers of these little and big worlds that we have to move in with our kids in the structure of the world today. And some days are easier than others. That is for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell them the story of the wonderful manager that you found in the grocery store. Start with that.
Well, Sparrow has always had I've kind of always been like, and maybe because I'm a psychotherapist, I'm like, oh, he just has OCD. Anyway, so he from very young age has wanted to roll one thing down the conveyor belt at the grocery. So we go to Lazy Acres, which he calls Bumblebee because they used to have a bumblebee hive. I guess they still have it in the back, like a bumblebee hive thing, kind of encased into the wall. And there's this amazing manager, Josie, who just gets him. And so we basically go when she's working and she'll go and open a line and let him and close it so he can do one thing. He can show her his special, like whatever special toy he has. He rolls down one thing at a time. They get to talk. He bags a thing. You know, he checks us out with he knows how to do the whole thing with the credit card and the whole piece. But I was saying, like, when we went to Kauai, he was trying to do those same things in a place that's busy with tourists where people didn't understand all of these kind of rituals or patterns that he has, and just how gracious, like, that one soul makes this experience like one of his favorite things to do because he gets to do it, and his interaction with her. It's like very sweet. So it's been such a gift to have found that. And I kind of don't, what I was saying to you is I don't even know that he realized that that's kind of orchestrated. That's not just random.
He's
Like,
not
I'm going,
realizing it.
yeah, yeah. He's not. He's like, well, this is amazing. The lane gets closed, but we can't go at 5 o'clock or Thanksgiving or a busy holiday. You have to kind of time that where she can't do that any old time. Like, I'm timing it late at night when no one's really in there.
Project managing it. Well done, Mama.
Project manager. Yeah. So I was saying, kind of as moms, we're kind of like project managers to navigate like a whole family system, right?
And that's what makes us all so different. And really, ultimately, I was talking to a friend about putting herself back in the field. And she's like, I haven't worked in forever. You've been a mother of 4 children. You have more skills now than ever that you practice on a daily. And I feel like the world out there can really honor that, the skill set that we learned becoming mothers. It's immense. Just the personality, the navigation with all these different personalities to not just create a world for them to be able to find some sense of themselves in, but also, it's that balance, right? Between, I always say, I don't want my children to have to fit into the mold the world creates for them, but to really find and be able to express who they are in the world. And be brave enough to do that, to raise them in a way where they can feel brave enough to be who they are, regardless of the expectations of the world, which is intense. Now I'm realizing more and more. But I'm sticking to my guns in it, because I see the gifts they hold. I think as us that get to be their most intimate witnesses, we see the gifts they hold. And I feel that's, if I do nothing else, I hold space to keep that in reverence and make sure they realize that it's worth something. But yeah, it's all these different things we have to manage is really sometimes intriguing and really hard. I mean, for me, it was the food thing was a big one because everyone is so different in their preferences of eating. And I saw that how intense it affects them.
Mhm.
Either
How
the
have you figured out how to navigate it? Because you have like, you know,
yeah, I have the two
or,
of them, and then there's Ryan and me, and we're all different,
yeah.
which is fascinating. But I think because it started with Ryan and me, he is he eats a lot more like Charlotte. So they fall in the same category of raw foods. They are fire bodies. So in the Ayurvedic system where you have the three bodies, the kapha,
Oh, or
pitta,
their
vata,
vada. Yeah, yeah, their
and
pitta.
that really served me is understanding the differences in that world. So, and it's fun. If you go online, you can do free the questionnaires. You fill in a free questionnaire and tells you what's your most dominant body type or digestive type. And like I think I know I'm pitta kapha, which means I need hot food. I like stews and soups, and it's food that takes some time to make.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Laura does too. So she and I have a discussion. I'm like, how are we going to help you navigate life so it doesn't overwhelm you so much? Because if she doesn't eat well, and not any of us, then everything becomes hard. Everything becomes conflict very quickly. And like just
Yeah, the
like,
whole system kind of melts down.
yeah. She's like, Mom, I want those boxes that you can put hot food in. I'm still yet to do this. But she has a Korean friend and they put the hot food in,
Oh,
and you put it in
the
a little,
thermos.
yes, like a thermos. Thank you. So I have to learn
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
do that now, because for Charlotte, it was easier to navigate because I cut carrots and it's
Yeah,
dirty
you cut some
and it's
vegetables.
really,
Yeah.
she needs something crunchy and chewy and a lot of protein, and she's good to go. And she needs to eat a lot, a lot of the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What is
So
she?
anyway,
A pitta.
she's a strong pitta, lots of fire. So probably
Yeah,
pitta
yeah.
vata. And Laura is a lot like me, kapha pitta,
Yeah.
which is fire.
Yeah, and pitta vata. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a really fascinating thing to dive into, is understanding another point of reference for us to understand our kids is, besides their astrology and horoscope and the numbers, is really the Ayurvedic digestive
And
system.
human design, like
design, all these wonderful ways
I know
that we learn how to work with them and ourselves in this space. And I was thinking traveling. So yeah, so managing the travel with them, like you have to Hawaii and back, and you do a lot of moving around also. And so do I.
yeah, I kind of like yeah, and you do too. Like, but I know some families, I think need the structure and they're overwhelmed with the movement and the change. And in some ways, I think because I've always traveled and had big change and adventure, the thought of not doing those things is actually scarier for me than, how some families are like, oh, I just get everything delivered. I don't even go to the grocery. And I'm like, oh, I actually like going to the grocery, even though it's complex for him. And he's like, I don't want you to deliver the food again. Like when COVID hit, we didn't go, like food was getting delivered. Like he was horrified, it like took this experience that he loved out of the mix. Yeah. So it's just an interesting difference in kind of personality, of like, I would rather get on a plane and travel and navigate that than not. Like the thought of not doing it feels worse, if that makes sense. Like feel inhibited.
100% makes sense to me. Yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
idea, we're always planning the next trip. It's interesting
Yeah.
because for me, it highlights the positives of routine or rhythm. I don't like the word routine. Routine drives me nuts. But the idea of finding that rhythm that we can put rituals in, like a certain time of dinner, and we have like these wonderful discussions around the dinner table that happens. And I love that, but I love it because we travel and we move around, so that then the contrast of the two sides because when I travel, I feel like we step out of like a set rhythm and we create it's a whole other one that relaxes me.
Yeah.
And I become a different presence for them, and we have to navigate this world and all the pieces, and it's fun. It highlights
Yeah, I
things.
find it fun.
Yeah. even
But some
when
people
it's
are like, oh,
hard.
the thought of a plane ride. I'm like, no, but
Yeah,
I've always loved to fly. So yeah. I
me
mean,
too.
flying, we're not even driving. You get to like sit there and you can talk and eat, do things and do game, like
It's
why
like a
would you not want
serious flying for me is a serious timeout. It's a timeout
Yeah,
from everything because no one can really reach you. It's divine.
I
I love
know.
that. Yeah.
Well, it's because you're between two worlds. I feel like you get to fly like in the clouds. And I've always been able to, I feel like, sort out my life. I've had big epiphanies, like big, I don't know, big pieces are able to come together in that in between space of just stopping everything. And
I
people,
agree.
I mean, people I feel like talk less on a plane now, but I used to always meet interesting people and connections and just different
Yeah, that's true. I mean, not
things.
me. I go quiet. I
You
am
go
not a
quiet,
talker.
you're like, I
I
have headphones on and do not engage with
pretty much, yeah. I
Yeah.
go into in that zone for sure. I think but it's also because I take long flights. I take 12 to 13 to 20-hour
Yeah,
flights.
totally, which is different than
So yeah,
a 6 hour.
but it's managing all of that. It's once you're, flying alone is one thing, and then project managing kids at different ages while we travel, it's all part of it. It's making sure you have all the pieces to make that a fun adventure. It's
Mhm.
the right food, all the right toys, engagement, and teaching them how to manage them, and it's fun because we're now at the age where I notice how I have a little leader. I can keep everyone engaged if Laura is, for example, telling us which way to go. She's got to read the signs, which gate are we? She's got to really listen, keep her engaged. Then she's there, she's present. She doesn't go into a moan and groan phase or like, when are we?
Like, oh, what are we
She's in
doing? And
charge. And
yeah,
she's always managing everybody around her in a way, but if it's constructive, so
interesting.
it's
Yeah,
learning.
yeah.
It's like learning our team as these managers, like, okay, that's your strengths, we got to put you in that place and then you go there, and we give everyone their little jobs so that we can move through it a little more productively, but mostly just with a little more ease.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah, I mean, there's
But
so
it
many.
is like a complicated, like I was thinking of the difference of sparrows, like, I never thought about how rigid he is until thinking about different flights where he was like, how on Southwest, if someone, the seats are open, people can sit there, and he would just like look at people and be like, no, you can't, like certain people would be like, no. I would just like, they would be like, oh, okay. Like, and I was like, dude, you can't do it. It's open. Anybody, and then he would get someone he liked, he'd be like, okay, come on down. You can sit down, like it's just kind of funny. And I kind of forgot about him doing it. It seemed kind of like quirky, but I'm like, it is kind of an unusual, it's like a very distinct, clear what he likes, what he doesn't like. And it's very strong, like from a very young age. Like,
Yeah, you're definitely managing a very different personality than you probably at first
kind of realized.
realized or thought you would have to, which is the thing with all of us, what we first dream up and what actually takes place. And that's a big thing for mothers is, and that was my epiphany
Totally.
yesterday, is like, here's the difference, is we cannot govern another person's experience. We cannot make it. We can create an experience. We can create a setup with someone can come in and have an experience as performers and artists. We can create a meal and say, sit around the table, but I can't govern that you've got to come sit down and not have a meltdown because you had a bad day, because I am not your soul's governor, or everyone is stepping into the theater or into any space, even though someone is creating it to be a peaceful, harmonious spa treatment. We don't know what people are walking
You
in.
can still
We don't know
have
what is
like,
happening to our kids necessarily, even though we think we do. We cannot govern it. I don't know if this is just me, but for me, that was something that I really needed to see. I don't have that kind of control. So
Totally.
Robbie,
Yeah,
I
no, that's a
don't
really
know if I'm making
strong.
sense fully because maybe I'm still
No, it
processing
makes sense because
that, but yeah,
yeah, well, I think that there's a space where I think as moms we're kind of like these miracle magic makers, or we're like Mary Poppins making all these things happen. But ultimately, that gives you the illusion that you can manage and kind of create happiness for all. And you cannot, like, I sometimes Sparrow will have, I call him little storms. It's like he's storming. There's a storm cloud. I'm not in the storm cloud. Like, I can help him navigate the storm cloud, but I don't have to be in the storm. It's not a tornado for me. There's no tsunami. Like, it's not, and it doesn't mean I'm not empathetic and kind and helping him navigate that. I'm not dismissive at all, but I can't be like, oh my God, there's a storm. We gotta fix
no,
this.
and
Or I'm
that's the
like
key.
in a
Yeah.
panic. So I think that that's been an interesting thing to learn. And I think, navigating whether Sparrow just has like, really high anxiety or whether it's spectrum or whatever the thing is, like the world is complex for him to navigate. And I think because, I was looking at my family history because I've had complex partners, romantic partners in the past, I've gotten used to, I was kind of like, oh, this is normal, regular scheduled programming. And I'm like, well, not every kid is concerned about who sits with them on the plane. Like some kid like could be completely indifferent. Like it would just be like not even register as a thing, you know, or whether he's highly sensitive, whatever that is. But it's an interesting thing to navigate what we can control and what we're kind of powerless over
Mm-hmm. That's
in
the
these
thing.
motherhood roles.
And that's the point of attachment to what someone else's experience is. I can't make you like that food. I can ask you to eat it
Yeah.
because I know it's nutritious, but I'm not going to beg you to love it.
Yeah.
And so it brings me back to constantly going, okay, so what is my role as a mother, as the manager of the home, is just to make sure that it's safe, where people can be who they are and feel what they feel,
Yeah.
and keep it as healthy as I can. And so it comes back to me taking care of how I'm my operating system, so that I am
Yeah.
not reactive or overstimulated. And then, like last night, I was
Totally.
exhausted. Last
Totally.
night, and they were in my space, and I was reactive. I fell back into a pattern that I hadn't for a while, but I was like, get out of my space. I was
Yeah.
exhausted. But the
Yeah.
contrast
But
of
sometimes
that
that
was showing
happens,
up. So it becomes the only thing we can navigate or really govern is ourselves.
But I think that there's not a lot of talk about, there's either kind of like conscious, gentle parenting where it's not talked about if there is a meltdown on the parent's part. That's not kind of talked about. Or there's kind of the concept of like the good mom and then the bad mom, like those movie Bad Moms or whatever, where those, which is kind of a weird, like
it is.
there's
It's
not really
always sort of
like,
bugged me. Yeah. It bugs me to put labels on it like that.
Yeah. So there's no, because I remember watching what's the one that we both liked with the woman? I think it's Brit, or they're in
Oh,
London,
so
where
good.
she's the advertising agency.
Yes. Modern
Mom.
Moms? What?
Modern Moms?
No, what was it? Working Moms.
No,
Working Moms.
Working Moms.
That
And
I
it's
love.
so amazing because it's got the like little circle of moms. They're all very different personalities, different content, and I feel like that was the one movie that I was like, oh yeah, it is like, we're all very like, there's no, little pod you're going to fit in. Because I went to different things like Rye parenting or Walt, all these different things. And I was like, well, I kind of fit with this a little bit. Oh, don't fit there. There'd be these like, I was like, oh, I don't fit completely here. I didn't fit completely there. There wasn't this like instant pod of moms you fit in with or something.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, because I have the same thing. I couldn't say that the only thing that I've and I did a summit on this in 2021, the conscious parent. And I feel even that gets misunderstood. Like you said, this, oh, conscious is suddenly immediately put into the category of calm and peaceful and and it's so not. It is so not.
No,
It is
no,
making
but that's how
mistakes
people interpret it.
every day. And the only thing that makes you conscious is that you notice that, and that you can go on your knees and apologize if you were out of order, which I am. I'm not going to lie to you, almost every day, if not, every second day. I'm out of order, and I have had to be on my knees with my kids often and go, oh my gosh, I am so sorry for what just took place, and that you had to see me do that, or I took it all out on you, and it's good. And I have to, and the only thing that makes a parent conscious is that we don't just brush over those moments when we lose our shit, that we actually are conscious of it, but also
and acknowledge it to our kids.
Yeah, and celebrate the
and
good
to be able to
parts
say
too.
like, hey, yeah, I'm really sorry. Like I can get I feel like I can be uber patient with all the complexities. And then at some point I'm like, like, just stop it. I just want to be, just stop it. Like I can't manipulate the sun or the universe. But then that's because I'm either, so I was telling Sparrow in like 12-step program, they say halt. You're either hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And I was like, we have to remember if we're in halt, like we're in halt, a lot of times you're hungry, a lot of times you're tired, or a lot of times I'm hungry or tired, or we're overextended, or we just need to recalibrate somehow. And I said, it's really good to remember, because what it means when you halt is that you pause for a minute. You just regroup. You're like, what do I need? Well, I need to get some food and maybe, have it wrap up for the night, wrap up and have like downtime, like have those ability to pause. Because I think, like I can see for Sparrow when he's hungry or when he's tired, but he can't always track that. And I sometimes forget, oh yeah, I'm actually just tired. Like it's been like a long rodeo and I actually just need to rest. Like I need it to kind of like go in the ratchet it down mode. And I'm like super intense and revved up, but I at times do need, I'm like, okay, we need all this external stuff to just kind of like, we've been listening. I want to just honor the woman from the Insight, the lady who does, I can't remember her last name. Her name is Cory, that does Cherry, Vaya, and Heidi. It's on Insight meditation. You recommended it for Sparrow and he loves it. So anytime in the car he's upset, I'll like, let's listen to Cherry. And he loves Cherry because she's like, she's like kind of intense and kind of dramatic, and like, and he can identify with like her personality and her quirks, and he'll be like, she's so funny, come on Cherry. But she's local to San Diego, so I don't know how you found her.
So I'm on Insight Timer. It's my greatest tool probably ever. So and her name is Cory Cochiolo. And we will honor her because she also, I mean, she gets it. She gets the rhythm of children, and she impersonates, and her voice work is really beautiful. And I agree with you. She targets so many different topics from so many angles. There's no right or wrong in the way she gives out information, but she makes it accessible for these kids. And it feels like when they listen to her, they feel understood by something bigger. It's so great. I love it. Yeah.
And he loves, and she has other stories. He's very attached to, I know this is shocking, but the Cherry, Heidi, and Vaya. He's like, I don't want any other of her characters, even if they're cute and they're in the sea. I don't care. Where is Cherry? And Cherry better be the main character. So we scan them for, but it's really well done in the sense, because we tried a bunch of different like breath work and meditation stuff and stuff that's geared towards kids, but it feels more contrived. So the story aspect, because he loves the story and the imagination and the places and the little illustration, it's just really, really well done. And it covers topics of being understood or being anxious or not, it covers a lot of um, kind of complex topics in a really beautiful
Yeah.
way that doesn't feel like now we're talking about depression in children.
Right. I
Now
know.
we're
This
talking about
feels
anxiety, where even the kid is like, what is going
what?
on? Where is the story? Like, like,
Yeah. No, it's like she really gets it. So Cory
Mhm.
Cochiolo, I want to honor you. Thank you for that. I'll definitely put a
Yeah.
plug out there. But yeah, I think, and as we talk through these weeks, it's all the tools that we use to manage our lifestyles as mothers with in these households and
Mhm.
the workings of humans. It is a new world we're living in. There is so much restructuring going on.
Mhm.
And many times we all feel like we're living on islands where we don't know forward from back. And I want to honor you and every mother out there navigating
Mhm.
it and staying true to what you believe works for you and your babies and your children and your family. Just, follow what your intuition and your truth is, because that's the
Mhm.
way we're going to find the new world and the way it works. I think this is what I want to stop with for me is we need to stop thinking there's one way, there's one mold that everyone
Mhm.
fits in and it will work for, because I have a sense that that is what's caused the destruction and the downfall of communities,
Mhm.
because more people, there's so many different ways of being and there's so many places we can all fit, and it's creating more tolerance so that more diversity can exist,
Mhm.
so that we can grow this new world in the most beautiful way that it wants to be. We're right there, and I'm super excited and optimistic and hopeful for what we are doing. So
Mhm. Me too.
that's my piece. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I just want to honor you and the commitment you have to your family and to your girls and to this topic. Like, I feel like it's your core passion and it's a gift. Like, I'm really grateful that we connected and have stayed connected through all the twists and turns. It's been really magical. And I would just try to think of I feel like my top self-care besides I'm loving the cold plunge and I know I just had dermatology, so I was like, I can't go cold plunge and like, just simmer down. It's not going anywhere. But just realizing how much that tool has helped in my creativity, like having that outlet keeps my cup full in a way that might not other moms might not need that piece necessarily. They might need to go do yoga or whatever the thing is. Like, I think it's find whatever truly fills your cup, not what you think is supposed to fill your cup in that self-care category. I think it looks, if it's watching Netflix, it's watching Netflix. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's not completely self-destructive, I would say,
Yeah,
or an
exactly. Yeah.
addiction of some sort, like acting
Mhm.
out of something. But I think it can look different. Some people want to journal and read a book. So just to honor your true passion and how your cup gets filled, because it's going to look different for each of you. Yeah. So,
Exactly. Just take
yeah.
care of yourselves. We're managing this world, mothers. That's what we're all doing. Project
Yeah.
managers. I love it.
Project managers that have different vacation ideas,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Ah,
Okay.
we'll see you again, or we'll hear you. You'll hear us again next week. And I know a couple of you have jumped on and said you want to join our podcast. So yeah, look forward to some guests coming on.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
There's a couple of people
Yeah.
that
It'd be fun to
eager
have some
to join our
interview
conversation.
some folks and have
Yeah.
more people in the conversation. I love that. Yay.
Yeah. So exciting. All right, everyone. Always in love.
Thank you. Big love. Happy Valentine's Day. I love Love Day. Everyone has a different thing, but happy Love Day, whatever it means to you
Yes.
and
Love
your
day.
peeps. Okay. Okay. Bye.
Bye.